This is a total production.
Hello surveyors, this is going to be our first practice video for chapter 1. So here we're really just going to practice conversions. So I've got about 10 questions here that we can kind of go through, looking at a bunch of quite a few scenarios where we're converting back and forth. So one thing I also want to put on your radar here in terms of what we're looking at here, I'm going to be using, where's it at? There it is. We're pretty much going to be using this table back from our chapter 1 slides. So anytime you see the conversions that I'm putting in here, I'm pulling it directly from that slide. And I'm going to try and take the time to actually like come over here and highlight the ones that the prefixes that we care about. All right. So with that, let's look at our first one here. It says how many picograms are in 320 kilograms. So the number is with the kilogram. So I'm going to start with that. So when I go and I look at that table, kilograms to picograms, is there a way for me to directly convert from picograms to kilograms? Well, let's look. Here's kilo. I'm going to highlight it if best I can. And then here's pico. Alright, so pico to kilo, there is no way to go directly back and forth. Alright, so because these are all prefixes, right? So what would be the common factor here? It would have to be, the common factor is grams. So what is this saying right here? It says 1,000, and then for the prefix kilo or the letter K. So what is it saying? It's saying, well, if you have a kilogram, right, that means you have, this number right here is related to the base unit, which is gram. You have 1,000 grams. So let's put that in real quick. So what we have here, and I'm going to use the picket fence method because I'm old. So you can use like multiplying it by fractions, but I use the picket fence method. So we know that there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram. So right, that's what the table told us. So there are 1,000 grams in 1 kilogram, right? That's the first conversion that we see here. All right, now you're going to have to stop doing that. I hate technology. It hates me. All right, so that's the first one we see. But then for the picograms, right, what are we looking at here? For pico, we've got this right here. I'm not going to write out that crazy amount of zeros. So this is the pico to gram conversion, picogram to gram conversion. So what is it saying? It's saying that 1 picogram is 1 times 10 to the negative 12 grams. All right, so it's a very small amount. So let me write that over there. 1 times 10 to the negative 12. All right, so we also have the conversion that 1 picogram is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 12 grams. All right, so what we're going to want to do is put these conversions in there, like getting all the way to picograms. So the first one I'm going to use is going to be this 1,000 gram, 1 kilogram one. Let me see if I raise this up, if this will stop being such a turd. That looks a little better. All right, so when we look here, let's go ahead and put that conversion in. So we have 1 kilogram on the bottom, right? I'm using this one right here. 1 kilogram on the bottom is equal to 1,000 grams, right? I'm doing that so that my kilograms will cancel. All right, now I've got to go to picograms, not grams. So I need this next conversion in here. And so I've got 1 picogram, 1 times 10 to the negative 12 grams. Well, based off where this grams is, I know I need the 1 times 10 to the negative 12 grams here on the bottom. So those will cancel, and that will give me my 1 picogram. So what I'm really going to do here is say 320 times 1,000 times 1. All right, so and I'll go ahead and show you that. So 320 times 1,000 times 1, all right? And then I'm going to divide it by 1 and divide it by 1 times 10 to the negative 12. I'm going to skip the division by 1, so I'm just going to divide by 1 EE to the negative 12. All right, so that gives me 3.2 times 10 to the 17. So the answer for that would be 3.2 times 10 to the 17, and the unit I'm left with, right, because everything else canceled, is picograms. All right. Now, if I go and do the same thing, right, because you want to test this using that table, all right, now that I've already shown it to you and showed you what I did. So the conversions that we have for all of these, right, we've got nanoseconds to microseconds. So some of the conversions that we're going to want to work with is going to be, we know that 1 nanosecond is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 9 seconds, right? And then we're also going to need the microsecond conversion. So we know that 1 microsecond is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 6 seconds, okay? So let's look at what we have here. 237 nanoseconds. And then, so the first thing I'm going to do is convert it to seconds. So I know that there is 1 nanosecond equivalent to 1 times 10 to the negative 9 seconds. All right, go check that table that I just showed you. So there's our nanoseconds canceling. So we've used that conversion. So now we can jump to this one, right? Because we do want to get to microseconds. So let's use the 1 times 10 to the negative 6 seconds here on bottom, because that allows seconds to cancel, and that will be equal to 1 microsecond, and that gives me my final unit that I want, right, microseconds. All right, so in looking at that, I'm looking at saying 237 times 1 e to the negative 9, enter. And I'm ignoring the ones, so I'm going to divide by, excuse me, I'm going to divide by 1 e to the negative 6. All right, so that gives me 0.237 microseconds. So I'm going to go ahead and box in my answers because it's getting a little crowded here. So, all right, next up we have kiloliters and teralitres for our conversions. So when we look at that, both of those are going to have to be related to liters. That's the base unit for that. So what we've got here is 1 teraliter is going to be equal to a whole lot of liters, 1 times 10 to the 12 liters. And then kiloliter is going to be related to liters as well. We know that 1 kiloliter is equal to 1,000 liters, or 1 times 10 to the 3 liters, right? Either way. All right, so based off that, we're looking at 5.62 teraliters. And then we're going to use this conversion first to get it to liters. So we know that 1 teraliter is 1 times 10 to the 12 liters. All right, and that does allow our teraliters to cancel, right? How I placed that conversion in. And now I'm going to go and do the conversion to kiloliters. So liters is going to have to be on bottom again. So we knew that there's 1,000 liters in 1 kiloliter. So that allows liters to cancel. All right, so what are we looking at? We're saying 5.62 times 1 e to the 12. All right, and then I'm ignoring the ones. So now I'm going to divide by 1,000. And, ooh, that's a big number. What is that? I'm going to convert that to scientific notation. So that'd be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that should give me 5.62 times 10 to the 9 kiloliters. All right, like so. If it'll ever stop autofocusing. All right, next up, what do we got here? We have meters to megameters. All right, so that's really just one conversion. For that, 1 megameter is going to be equal to 1 times 10 to the 6th meters. So if we got 8,724 meters, the only one conversion we'd have to do is the meters on the bottom here. So 1 times 10 to the 6th meter, it's going to be equal to 1 megameter. So let's look at that. 8,724 divided by, 8,724 divided by 1 second EE. Excuse me, to the 6th. All right. So that, I'm going to make that scientific notation as well. So that would be 1, 2, 3 spaces. So that'd be 8.724 times 10 to the negative 3 megameters. All right, so there's the answer. Oh, I forgot to box in the third one as well. All right, next up, what do we got here? We have decigrams to gigagrams. Oh, this is so much fun. All right, that's a lot. That's a big old set of conversions. So, if we go and look at that table real quick, what we would see the decigrams to grams. So we know that 1 decigram is equal to 0.1 grams. And then we're also going to need the gigagrams to grams, which, have we used giga yet? No. So, all right, so with gigagrams, it's 1 gigagram is going to be equal to 1 times 10 to the 9 grams. All right, so now how are we going to put these two conversions in here? Well, we've got 4.41 decigrams, so we're going to use that conversion first. All right, so we've got what? Oh, not equal. Got to do my picket fence. All right, so what do we got? 1 decigram on bottom, and then 0.1 grams on the top. That does allow the DG to vamonos. All right, and then next we'll use this grams, right? So we can use the gram to gigagram conversion here. So 1 times 10 to the 9th grams is going to be equal to 1 gigagrams. All right, and that's my final unit. Okay, cool. So now what do I need to do? I need to say 4.41, and I'm going to need to multiply it by 0.1. And then the rest of the stuff is 1, so I'm not putting that in. All right, now I'll need to divide by 1 second EE to the 9th. It's going to make it even smaller. Yep, so it's 4.41 times 10 to the negative 10. 4.41 times 10 to the negative 10 gigagrams. So it's a big unit, but it's a pretty small number too. All right. Now we got femtograms to milligrams. All right, so when we go and look at that table, we're going to need femtograms to grams, and then we're going to need milligrams to grams. So what's the femtograms to grams? You should get 1 times 10 to the negative 15 grams is equal to 1 femtogram, right? So femtogram small, right? Next up, you should get, for milligrams to grams, you should get 1 times 10 to the negative 3 grams is equal to 1 milligram. So a milligram is also small, but in terms of smaller, femtogram is the smallest one, all right? Or smaller, I guess, since I'm only comparing 2. But technically, it's the smallest unit that we have to know about. All right, so let's plug some stuff in. 1,289 femtograms. So in that conversion, I'm going to start with this one. So we're going to say 1 femtogram is going to be 1 times 10 to the negative 15 grams, right, to cancel those femtograms. Now I can use the milligram conversion, right? I know that it's 1 times 10 to the negative 3 grams is going to be 1 milligram. All right, so grams would cancel, and now I can plug stuff into my calculator. So let's see what that would look like. We've got 1,289. I've got to multiply it by 1 to the negative, 1 times 10 to the negative 15. So that would be this 1e negative 15. All right, I'm going to hit enter. So that's me multiplying everything on top. So now let's do some division for the stuff on the bottom. So divide this number by 1 second EE to the negative 3. And I get 1.289 times 10 to the negative 9. 1.289. times 10 to the negative 9 milligrams, mgs, little m. All right, let me put a box around that for the answer. So my 8 looks weird, but it's 1.289. Okay. Next up, we got, I'm back to giga and kilo. Haven't I already done this? No, I did it with deci. Okay. So, I've got the 92.5 kilometers or kilometers. All right. I try to super pronounce these prefixes. So we know that the conversion for kilo is that you have 1,000 meters in 1 kilometer or 1 kilometer. All right. We also know that for the giga, 1 gigameter is going to be equal to 1 times 10 to the 9 meters. So the first thing we're going to do is use this conversion, right? The kilometer meter one. So we know 1 kilometer is going to be 1,000 meters. So kilometers cancels. And now I can use this bottom conversion, the gigameter meter conversion. And we know that it's 1 times 10 to the 9 meters is 1 gigameter. All right. So what are we going to have to do here? We're going to have to say 92.5 times 1,000, and then divide that by 1 e to the 9th. So it's going to get smaller. Yep, so 9 equals 9.25 times 10 to the negative 5 gigameters. All right, and now we got picolitres to liters. All right, so 0.738 liters. All right, and the conversion for that is pretty straightforward. So we know, based off of looking at the table, that the 1 picoliter is equal to 1 times 10 to the negative 12 liters. All right, so I put the liter part on the bottom, right, to cancel. So this is going to get a lot smaller. So 0.738 divided by 1 second e to the negative 12. What does that give me? So it gives me 7.38 times 10. Oh, it got bigger, sorry. Times 10 to the 11 picoliters. Sorry, because that was a negative 12. I wasn't paying attention to that part. All right. Okay, so that is... Yeah, okay, so that was using the table. Now, next up, something to kind of make you aware of. We also have some temperature conversions, so I thought this was the best place to do this. Now, in our temperature conversions, there is a slide that gives us the equations. So here, I'm just going to write them down here so you can kind of see what I'm using. So we know that our equation that we were given, degrees Fahrenheit is equal to 9/5 times degrees Celsius plus 32. And then the other thing to know is that if we need to get Kelvin, right, that's pretty much whatever your degrees Celsius is plus 273.15. Right, so these are the two real equations I'm just going to focus on using. All right, so first off, it says you have 47 degrees Fahrenheit and you need to go to Kelvin. You can't go directly to Kelvin. So we're going to use this first, convert it to degrees C, then we're going to do the Kelvin calculation, this addition at the bottom. So let's look what we got. 47 degrees Fahrenheit is going to be equal to 9/5 degrees C plus 32. So the first thing I'm probably going to want to do algebraically is subtract 32 from both sides. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and make my F disappear now. So what does that give me? That gives me 15 is equal to 9/5 degrees C. All right, now I need to get rid of the 9/5. So this is like saying 9 divided by 5. So what I can actually do is I can multiply both sides by 5, right? So I can say, all right, so times 5 times 5. So then those would cancel. And then I can divide both sides by 9, divide by 9, divide by 9. And so then the 9s would cancel. So really what I'm going to get is 15 times 5 and then divide that by 9. So 15, let me turn it straight up and down. 15 times 5 divided by 9 equals 8.333. So this tells me that my degree C is equal to 8.333. So that's my temperature in Celsius. All right, now it wants this in Kelvin. So I need to say, right, I know that Kelvin is going to be equal to the 8.333 degrees C plus 273.15. So that's going to give me what? 281. So it's going to be 281.483 Kelvin. All right, so that would be the answer. All right, with a whole lot of decimal points. Yeah, might want to ignore that and that many decimal points, but all right, there we go. You need to stop this. All right, now it wants to do Fahrenheit from Kelvin. All right, so if we have 46 Kelvin, right, we need to use this equation down here first, right? We can do Kelvin to Celsius. So first we'll need to get Celsius. So here you're adding 273, so we're actually going to have to subtract 273.15. So we're going to get a negative number for our degrees Celsius. And when you do that, you should get negative 227.15 degrees C. Now we can go and use this equation right down here. Well, hang on, let me pull it up. Now we can use this equation right here, our Fahrenheit. I'm sorry, y'all. My camera is like super sensitive today. I guess somebody hurt its feelings. There we go. So now we can use this Fahrenheit equation. And we have degrees C, so it's pretty much just a plug and chug type deal. So we would say degrees Fahrenheit is going to be equal to 9/5 times the negative 227.15 plus 32. All right, so when we do that, what do we get? We're going to get 9 times negative 227.15. All right, and then I'll need to divide it by 5. And then, so I've done all of this, so now I just need to add the 32, plus 32, and that gives me negative 376. So that's going to be negative 376.87 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And then our last one's not too bad. Celsius to Kelvin, right? So if you have 114 degrees C, you just add the 273.15, and that'll give you your Kelvin. So 114 plus 273.15, because I'm too tired to do that math in my head. I get 387.15 Kelvin. All right, so hopefully that this is pretty good in helping with conversions, right? Whether we're talking about the units of length or mass or time, whatever, or volume, right? So using those prefixes, but also looking at our temperature conversions as well for Fahrenheit, Celsius, and Kelvin. All right, well, until next time, Chem Minions, adios.